Thank you very much, Tembegile. Well, we start here this afternoon. On Friday, the government published a draft proposal to address the widespread theft of copper cables and other scrap metals. In a bid to stem the theft of copper and various other metals, the government has also proposed that those who are allowed to sell scrap metal must be registered, and that buyers of scrap metal must only buy from registered sellers. The slew of recommendations are actually contained in the government gazette that was published on Friday. To talk more about this and how business sees these recommendations, we speak to Doron Barnes, who is the CEO at Scaw Metals. Doron, thank you very much, sir, for your time. Scaw Metals has in the past called for a total ban on scrap metal sales because of the ramifications that this has for a widespread of sectors, including electricity, among others. How do you view these latest proposals from the DTI?
Thank you. Good afternoon. I've gone through this government gazette, and I think it's a very well-written document. It's taken into account a number of government departments. It's written by, from what I understand, the DTIC under instruction from our President Ramaphosa in order to stem the theft of government infrastructure. DTI, from what I understand from the document, used two independent experts, which is written in the document, TIPS and Genesis Analytics, to do the study. And I believe they've done a very good job of describing what is going on in the industry and what needs to be done in order to sort out this massive theft that we're having of government infrastructure, which has an effect on everyone's daily life in South Africa. So I think it's a bold move by government in order to do some good things in order to solve the issues that we have at hand as quickly as possible.
Let's just expand on some of the issues. We saw that recently the DTIC estimated that the cost to the South African economy when it comes to copper and other metals being stolen from our infrastructure in the country could be put at anywhere around 50 billion rands. Since you have been in this particular calls to actually scrap it all together, take us into what it means for many sectors, including a metals company like yourself.
So this document really deals with government infrastructure theft, and in order to prevent government infrastructure theft, and that cost to the economy is significant. It refers.
It seems we are losing you there, Mr. Barnes. We will try and get you back shortly to actually talk more about how you actually view these new developments when it comes to the government actually putting a stop or a ban for the next 6 months in terms of this particular scrap metal sales. But let me go back to you. It seems we have established our line, Mr. Barnes. You were answering how, as a metals company, and not only for the government, but as a sector, how you actually view this particular, the impact that has been there for many years when it comes to the runaway theft and sale of scrap metals in South Africa.
Thank you. Yes. So there are two issues here for Scaw Metals. So Scaw is a user of scrap metals. So that's one issue, that we will get access to scrap metals. But this document is not a trade policy, although I very much support it from a trade policy perspective. This document deals with theft of government infrastructure. And what government is trying to do is, and I think doing it very well with what they suggest to do, is organize the industry of selling scrap metals in a manner that would enable honest and legitimate scrap business in South Africa, and not activities which undermines everyone's ability to. Can you hear me there, Kulani?
Mr. Barnes, we seem to have been losing you once again. It seems our line and the gremlins are hard at work, and it seems we may have to get you back online perhaps in the next hour. But we are going to catch up with you on that. Thembekile, this is one of those stories that have developed over the past week, where government is actually making sure that they are doing something about putting a stop to illegal scrap metal sales, and I hope we will re-establish this line, because it is a very important story to talk about.
It's a lucrative industry, isn't it? Because often when we look at it, Golani, when you look at people hauling scrap metal on those makeshift trolleys, right, everywhere in Johannesburg, you think, oh, well, whatever, they're going to sell it for a small, like, not too much, but actually there's a lot of money involved.
There's a lot of money involved, and the DTIC estimates 50 billion rands a year is lost to the South African economy when it comes to this. And now we're talking about replacement of infrastructure in all walks, in all sectors, major sectors. And this is not a South African problem only. We've had many countries on the continent actually making it a law to actually ban the export and the sale of some scrap metals. I hope you can hear me, Doron, and that you are back. I wanted to actually talk about your views when it comes to government's ability to ensure that they implement this very intricate proposal to manage and register those who sell and those who buy. Do you think government has the ability to do that and implement these regulations when they do become regulations that are passed?
So, look, the first objective is to put in a metal trading regime that is workable. So we sit as South Africans down here, and we're having our infrastructure stolen in front of us. And there's two things to do. We can sit back and do nothing about it, or you can try and do something about it. And what I see from this document is that significant thought has been put into this. Yes, there would be challenges perhaps to implement what is being proposed in this document, but as a country and as South Africans, we've got to have something to work towards in order to prevent this, I'm going to say, wholesale theft of our infrastructure going on. So yes, it is challenging. It may be challenging to put in these regulations that are put down here. But as we stand today, we are sitting with almost an ability of anyone to go in and steal our infrastructure. And it's being traded in a very unregulated environment, which is resulting in significant costs to the economy. So what government is doing here, and I commend them, it's bold moves to do good things in order to solve problems. So yes, we may have problems to implement, but I hope not. And this document is very comprehensive in what government is trying to achieve, how they intend to achieve it. It sets timelines for what's got to happen. It's given a 6-month moratorium on the export of scrap, although that's not really true, because people who have permits can still export, which means export of scrap can still happen for the next 3 months. So it will really be a 3-month ban on export of scrap, because permits last, from what I understand, 3 months. So I don't believe the 6 months' time is sufficient in order for government to implement what is being said in this document. But it's a very good start. And what we have here is government applying their mind to solve problems, which I think is fantastic and a great move forward.
Mr. Barnes, I'm afraid that's all the time that we have on account of those technological gremlins. Mr. Doron Barnes, the CEO at Scaw Metals, welcoming government's move to protect South Africa's infrastructure from the theft when it comes to metals and other copper metals and other metals that have been devastating many sectors in this country.